Gleason over the center stripe for the Irish. Down the right side to McCarthy. Working it back and forth now, looking at Hawkins in the pivot. They get it to him. He turns and shoots short. Rebound beautifully by Johnny Cox of Kentucky. Whips it up to Vernon Hatton. Bringing it quickly into front court. Tried to hang Hawkins on his back and failed. Gives over to Krigler. Left side to Smith. And the pivot to Beck. Slap back out and up into the air. Krigler races back to pick it up at center court. Gives over to Vernon Hatton as we go into the last 7 minutes of the first half. Kentucky 29, Notre Dame 14. Down the right to Cox. Takes the shot over Hawkins. No good. Too long. Krigler gets the rebound out to Smith. 20 feet to the left. He missed it. Tapped by Krigler. No good. Hawkins rebounds for Notre Dame. Over to Devine. He moves into front court for the Irish. Pulls up at the top of the circle. Flips out to Gleason. Gleason moves to the left. Passes to Devine. Looks at Hawkins. Breaks to the left corner and shoots. No good. Off the rim. Krigler slaps it down and out of bounds. Went up on the press table trying to save it. 6 minutes, 27 seconds here in the first half. Kentucky 29, Notre Dame 14. Out of bounds, John McCarthy, 6'3" Irish forward, passing to Gleason. Whips right back to McCarthy on the right side. Goes to the corner, back to Gleason. Back to McCarthy, looking at Hawkins in the pivot. Outside to Gleason, who backs away with Adrian Smith on him. Whips to Hawkins, turns and shoots. It's good. Tom Hawkins gets his second field goal of the game. Reduces the Kentucky lead now to 13 points. Adrian Smith back in front court. Right side to Krigler, back to Smith. Passes out to Hatton, fakes to Cox and backs away. Hatton comes to his left, passes back to Smith. Down the right side to Beck, who's off the pivot, out to Hatton. He moves right, gets away from Reinhardt and lays it in beautifully, and Reinhardt fouled him. The goal is good. Foul on Reinhardt, number 1. The bonus rule applies. Vernon Hatton's field goal gives him the lead with 4, and he'll take 1 free throw as Kentucky now leads 31-16. Hatton, a two-hand shooter, comes up from between the knees. Good. Kentucky 32, Notre Dame 16. Devine gives in to Ed Gleason. Notre Dame has got 2 starters, Graney and Duffy, on the bench. Here's Gleason in front court, left side to Devine. Whips to Hawkins in the pivot, goes by on Beck, hooks it in, no good. The shot's nullified by a foul on Ed Beck. That is the second foul on the Kentucky center and the 5th foul against Kentucky. 5 minutes, 44 seconds here in the first half as Notre Dame's Tom Hawkins goes to the free throw line. 1 shot. Notre Dame has hit 4 out of 5. The one they missed was by Hawkins. He shoots. No good. Tap by Reinhardt. No good. He rebounds wide open and lays it in. So Reinhardt, a substitute, has picked up 3 field goals, more than anybody else, and cuts the Kentucky lead back to 14 points. Hatton fakes a 15-footer, triple teamed, and the ball's taken away from him by Hawkins of Notre Dame, who gives over to Gleason. So that's the first time Kentucky has brought the ball in front court without getting a shot. Gleason on the right side to McCarthy, looks at Hawkins, gives to him. He takes back under the basket and lays it up. Good. Hawkins has 3 field goals. And so Notre Dame moves within 12 points at 32-20. Krigler drops a pass, picks it up, hits back on the pivot, gives in the right corner to Cox. Jump shot, good. Johnny Cox hits his 3rd field goal to send the Wildcats in front 34-20. 5 minutes to play in the first half. Off the left side to Bob Devine of Notre Dame. Quick shot over Hatton, good. For Bob Devine, that's his first field goal tonight. Kentucky leads by 12 points, and it's timeout Kentucky. This is the first Kentucky timeout of the ball game. With the score standing Kentucky 34, Notre Dame 22. So the only score that we have reported in high school regional play so far is Dunbar 16, Lafayette 12. That game tonight was played over at Richmond. In the NIT this afternoon, Xavier of Cincinnati upset Niagara. Xavier 95, Niagara 86. And in the NBA, Detroit beat Cincinnati 100-83 to lead 1-0 in the best-of-3 playoff series. So Dunbar, in beating Lafayette tonight, has eliminated last year's state champion. And Dunbar will play the Meade Memorial Oil Springs winner tonight in the second game of the state tournament Wednesday night at 9:15. Dunbar, incidentally, won the game in overtime. At the NIT tonight, Fordham beat St. Francis. Fordham 83, St. Francis 59. Maryland beat Manhattan 59-55 in a consolation game at Charlotte, North Carolina. It's back to play as Vernon Hatton moves Kentucky to the attack with a 12-point lead, takes it to the right corner, gives a bounce pass to Beck, back to Hatton, rolls it on the floor, picks it up, gives to Smith on the right side, out deep to Hatton as Kentucky sets the court again. Hatton from 20 feet shoots to the left side. Krigler taps, Beck taps, it's good. Every one of the Cats, except Krigler, has 3 field goals now and a 14-point lead at 36-22. Gleason in front court, feeds to McCarthy on the right side to Hawkins in the corner. Quick jump shot, no good. Beautiful rebound by Vernon Hatton, who is fouled by John McCarthy of Notre Dame. And the bonus rule applies as we walk the length of the court. There are 4 minutes and 14 seconds in the first half. Kentucky 36, Notre Dame 22. Vernon Hatton, 1 for 2, stands at the free throw line. A chance to stretch Kentucky's lead back to 16 points. He's a two-hand shooter. Keeps the feet apart, pulls the right one back slightly. The first shot's good. That brings on the first bonus shot of this championship game, giving the Cats a 15-point lead over Notre Dame after breaking a 3-3 tie. Hatton's bonus shot's good. Kentucky 38, Notre Dame 22. We've already had 3 times out in this game, 2 by Notre Dame. Gleason in front court, feeds to the right to McCarthy. Outside to Gleason, back to McCarthy. Back out to Gleason into Reinhardt, turns and shoots. No good. High is Adrian Smith. The rebound knocked away by Reinhardt, but Smith recovers. Moves quickly back for the Wildcats in the front court. Gives over to Hatton. Hatton fakes left. Can't get away from Devine and brings it back out deep. Passes to Johnny Cox on the right, out to Adrian Smith. He sets, breaks on Devine to the baseline. Backs into the corner, gives to Krigler. Fakes a shot. Knocked down by Gleason. Krigler picks it up and gives back to Smith out deep to Hatton. Hatton moves left against Hawkins. Screen collapses. He passes out deep to Smith. Smith to the right side to Krigler. Fakes a shot. Gives back to Smith. Over to Hatton. Kentucky sets its court up balanced. Beck playing the pivot at the free throw line. Over to Cox on the left side. Top of the circle. Here's the jump shot. Good. Johnny Cox, 4th field goal, makes it Kentucky 40, Notre Dame 22. Longest lead of the ball game at 18 points with 3 minutes 15 seconds in the first half. On the left side, Devine out to Gleason. Looks at Hawkins in the pivot. Cox that arm. And then Devine comes out deep to get the pass and return to Gleason, who brings it to the right side to hit McCarthy. Drives on Krigler to the baseline. The shot's good. McCarthy gets his 2nd field goal to reduce the Kentucky lead to 16 points at 40-24. Smith and Hatton slow up in back court to talk something over. Now it's Adrian Smith moving in front court to Krigler on the right side. Back to Hatton. Moves to the right side. Picked up and the ball knocked away. He recovers, bringing it back outside. Lets Krigler move off and whips over to Adrian Smith to the left. Back to Hatton. He moves to the right, staying deep with the ball. 2.5 minutes to go. Smith moves to the left. Takes a 20-foot jump shot. No good. High off of the rim. It's knocked out of bounds by Tom Hawkins of Notre Dame. Kentucky 40, Notre Dame 24. Ed Beck will put it in play. Smith and Hatton back up deep. Cox and Krigler at the baseline. Reverse the pass to Cox. Here's the jumper. It's no good. Trapped by Krigler. No good. Rebounded by McCarthy of Notre Dame. Flipping it over to Gleason. Ed Gleason moves it back over the center stripe. Breaks left on Adrian Smith all the way with a foul against Kentucky's guard. Adrian Smith draws his first one of the game, and now Kentucky has committed 6. Hatton 2, Beck 2. Smith and Cox 1 each. And Notre Dame's substitute guard, Ed Gleason, who's scoreless, will shoot 1. 2 minutes, 7 seconds to play in this first half of the championship game. Consolation won by Indiana, 98-91 over Miami. Gleason shoots no good. Tap by Reinhardt, no good. By Hawkins, good. Tom Hawkins gets his 4th field goal to make the score Kentucky 40, Notre Dame 26 with 2 minutes in the first half. Hatton in front court, fakes to Beck, gives to Smith. Right side to Krigler, back to Smith. Smith out to Cox at the top of the circle. Double team. Reinhardt, Gleason, over to Devine against Adrian Smith. 1-1. Devine from 10 feet misses. Outside rebound by Vernon Hatton. He goes down 2-on-1 with Krigler behind his back. He threw it out of bounds. Vernon Hatton trying to throw behind his back to Krigler. Threw behind Krigler and out of bounds to Notre Dame with 1.5 minutes to go. Ed Gleason walks up the backcourt for Notre Dame. Now crosses the line. Moves to the left, passes to Devine, and the pivot to Hawkins. A foul call. Ed Beck draws his 3rd foul of the game. Off the Kentucky bench comes Don Mills, 20-year-old sophomore from Berea. He's 6'7", weighs 190. Ed Beck comes out with a great hand. Don Mills had his big night last night with 11 points against Miami, has a total of 58 to rank 8th in scoring on a 3-2 average. So Tom Hawkins on the Notre Dame free throw line, shooting one with the bonus rule in effect. It's good, giving Hawkins his first good shot in 3 tries. 1 minute, 22 seconds in the first half as Notre Dame is pulled back within 13 points of Kentucky. Hawkins takes the bonus shot as he's just picked up his 9th point of the game. The bonus shot, no good. Rebounding Cox of Kentucky. And the Cats hold on, 40 to 27. Up in the front court's Vernon Hatton. Over to Adrian Smith, left side to Cox. He breaks out against McCarthy to the top of the circle. Ball knocked down. Cox moves out deep and gets it away from Devine. Over to Krigler, to Smith, to Hatton. Kentucky slows it down now, playing slowly and a little flat-footed with Mills at the pivot. They give outside to Cox, who brings it to the top rim of the circle to Krigler. Here it goes to Mills. A hook is good. Don Mills, just in the ball game, cracks a crippling hook shot for a 42 to 27 Kentucky lead. Here's McCarthy from 20 feet for Notre Dame hitting as he picks up his 3rd field goal using the backboard. There are 40 seconds to go as Hatton moves slowly up the backcourt. Kentucky 42, Notre Dame 29. Hatton signaling, let's take one shot. Standing out deep, Gleason not putting any pressure on him. Gives over to Odie Smith. The clock shows 30 seconds and is moving as the Kentucky guards crisscrossing out deep slowly, keeping the ball in possession and moving all the time. Here's Smith moving to the left, staying deep as he cuts back to the right and gives to Hatton. There are 18 seconds to go. We'll call the seconds off as we can as Kentucky starts to move. Hatton deep, starts dribbling, right side to Krigler, 10 seconds to go. Smith gives to Mills, turns and shoots from 15 feet, no good with 7 seconds to go, a Notre Dame foul. It goes against Reinhardt, his second one. McCarthy, Hawkins, and Reinhardt of Notre Dame have picked up 2 each. Don Mills of Kentucky will take 2 shots. 7 seconds in the first half. Kentucky leading Notre Dame by 13 points. Don Mills at the free throw line. Stands tom-tomming the ball. Now a one-handed shooter. The first shot's good. He sends the Wildcats in front now. 14 points. 7 seconds yet in the first half. Mills ready for his second one. Looks. Shoots. Short. Hawkins rebounds for Notre Dame. Over to Devine. Flips a high one to McCarthy. Wide open. He lays it in as the first half ends. So McCarthy with his 4th field goal as the first half ends. Makes the halftime score Kentucky 43. Notre Dame 31. And the Wildcats, who at one time in this first half had an 18-point lead, head for the dressing room with 12 points to their credit. Well, we'll check the individual scoring for you in just a moment. Right now, 10 seconds for station identification. This is the Standard Oil Sports Network.
WVLK, Lexington, Kentucky, in 15 seconds, 29 minutes past 9 o'clock.
Once again, this is Claude Sullivan back at the Coliseum here in Lexington. And here is the individual scoring. Vernon Hatton, who has picked up 11 points, leads Kentucky. He has 4 field goals and 3 out of 4 on the free throw line. Also with 4 field goals is Johnny Cox. 8 points for Cox. He has not made a trip to the free throw line. Then we have 9 points for Adrian Smith. 3 field goals and 3 free throws. John has contributed 6 points, 2 field goals and 2 free throws. And Ed Beck has picked up 6 points on 3 field goals. Beck missed his only free throw. Don Mills scored 3 points as a substitute for Beck, a field goal and 1 for 2 at the free throw line. Personal fouls, there are 3 on Beck, 2 on Hatton, and 1 on Smith, 1 on Cox. For Notre Dame, they're being led in scoring by John McCarthy, who hit the last second shot for a total of 10 points and the only man in double figures. Kentucky got 17 field goals on 44 shots. The Wildcats are hitting 38.6%, and Notre Dame picked up 13 field goals on 38 shots for a 34.2%. Your first half shooting percentages. The other Notre Dame scoring 9 for Tom Hawkins, 4 field goals and a free throw in 4 tries. Substitute Tom Reinhardt came in for 6 points as he hit 3 field goals. Mike Graney picked up 3 points at starting pivot position, a field goal and a free throw. Bob Devine got 3 points and a field goal and a free throw. And Gene Duffy, who started at guard, was later taken out, did not score. Ed Gleason, another Notre Dame substitute, did not score. He had one free throw opportunity and missed that. So Kentucky had the lead at one time by 18 points, and here at halftime lead Notre Dame by 12. Kentucky 43, Notre Dame 31. Moving in beside us now is the coach of Indiana, Coach Branch McCracken, who has been, I guess, the dean of Big Ten coaches. He's been there and known all over the world for his coaching. And last night, his Cinderella team from the Big Ten played Notre Dame and lost in a close game. So, first of all, let's ask Coach McCracken of Indiana if he'll tell us what he has observed on the first half of this game.
Well, this is a terrific ball game. Kentucky's playing a great game. They're hitting a good percentage. Of course, that's basketball. The team that's hitting that good percentage is likely to be out in front. If you miss too many good shots, you're in trouble.
Coach McCracken, what's been your impression of the defensive play of the two teams here?
Well, Kentucky has been very good on defense. I think Notre Dame has failed to switch a few times. That's gotten them in trouble.
Coach, how would you rate the game that Notre Dame is playing against Kentucky tonight with what they played against your club last night?
Well, it's hard to say. Notre Dame hit a very good percentage last night. Maybe we gave them those shots that made them hit a good percentage. But we always have battles with Notre Dame. They come up for the ball game. We're up for the ball game. And they've always been terrific battles.
Coach, how about your game tonight with Miami, which you won 98-91?
Well, a free-scoring ball game. I'm not much for these consolation games. I think it would be a fine thing if we could just do away with them and not play them. The ball game with Miami was a good spectator's game. People like to see a lot of points.
Doesn't the coach have some difficulty, though, in preparing his ball club for a consolation game?
You can't bring the boys up when they get beat on Friday night. The season is over. It was hard for me to bring my boys up after the Big Ten championship. We had to put on a terrific drive. We had to win 4 games on the road, and the boys went a lot on just determination and nervous energy. And it's always hard to bring teams up.
When you get a situation such as you had this year, where you took them right down to the wire and had to beat the top team on its home floor, you get a team keyed for something like that. Once it's accomplished, it's a little difficult then to reset their sights, I guess, isn't it?
Well, I don't think the average fan realizes that the human body can just take so much of that nervous energy. We played Ohio to Ohio, Columbus, and we had to come up for that. Then we came right back and played our natural rival, Purdue. Of course, we were up for that, and that was on Saturday night. Then Monday night, we go over to Illinois, and anytime you go over to Illinois and on that floor, you've got to play a ball game. And then right from the Illinois game, we had to play Michigan State at Michigan State. And the human body can just take so much of that nervous exertion.
Certainly. Well, now, Coach McCracken, there's been a good deal of talk so far this year among some coaches proposing the 24-second or possibly modifying it the 30-second shooting rule that the pros are now using and bringing the college ball next year. What do you feel is the general or the most popular feeling among the Big Ten coaches?
Well, I don't know. I'm 100% for it. I think it would make a better basketball game. Now, for example, your high school game tonight ended, I think, what was it, 8 to
Well, the final score, Coach, was 16-12, but that was an overtime.
People don't like to see that kind of a ball game, and as far as I'm concerned, I'm all for the 30-second rule. If I was playing tonight with a 30-second rule, I would tell my boys not to pay any attention to it, because it wouldn't affect us at all. We would go right ahead and play our ball game. We're a running ball club, and I've always, in my 28 years of coaching, worked on the philosophy that you take your shots when you get them. Especially today, the game has changed. The one-handed jump shot. You can't stop a boy from getting that one-handed jump shot from out on the floor, and they maneuver. We wouldn't have any trouble, and all the teams wouldn't have any trouble getting rid of the ball in 24, 30 seconds. I'm 100% for it.
Coach, who do you give credit for bringing the one-hand jump shot into basketball?
I don't know. There's a lot of, you hear this story and that story. I really don't know. A lot of cases like that, it just boils down where the boy himself, out practicing, out shooting baskets. Maybe he was in the barn lot. Maybe he was in the alley. The boy a lot of time falls into those things, and then we see them and we start working on them.
Well, Coach, I know your season ended here tonight against Miami with your 8-point win and 7 points. What does the next season hold for you?
Well, I have 4 seniors, 4 regulars. They're seniors. I don't know what to expect next year. I have a pretty fair crop of freshmen. I have 6 of the boys left that's had some experience. I don't think we will be too strong, especially at the start of the year. And we might not be strong at the end of the year. It just depends on the boys, whether I can get them together, if they'll work together as a unit. You know, this basketball game, it boils down to desire, determination, and spirit. The good Lord gives you the physique. After the boy gets the know-how, from then on, it's determination. That desire, that spirit will carry you a long ways.
I've heard so many coaches make the remark they would rather play a team with a lot of talent than they would a light team with a lot of spirit.
That's right. That's always right.
Well, Coach McCracken, we want to thank you so much for being with us. We don't want to take up your entire halftime, but we do appreciate so very much your coming by to being with us.
Well, thank you. I enjoyed being on your program.
Thank you so very much. Coach Branch McCracken, whose Indiana Hoosiers tonight defeated Miami in our first game for third place. Indiana 98, Miami 91. And a fine ball game it was. We're at halftime here in Lexington with neither team back on the floor yet. And the score, Kentucky 43, Notre Dame 31. The Wildcats had a lead as big as 18 points at one time, led by Vernon Hatton's 11 points, Adrian Smith with 9, Cox with 8, Beck and Krigler each with 6, and Don Mills with 3. Notre Dame is being paced by John McCarthy with 10, Tom Hawkins with 9. Reinhardt, a substitute, has 6. Devine and Graney each have 3. In the game for third place at Lawrence tonight, the final score is Cincinnati 97, Arkansas 62. And for third place tonight, down at Charlotte, Maryland defeated Manhattan. Maryland 59, Manhattan 55. And here in Lexington, as we said, Indiana beat Miami 98-91. In the NIT, Fordham 83, St. Francis 59. Fordham beating St. Francis in the NIT. St. John's beat Utah 71-70 on a last-second goal. That was this afternoon. And Xavier of Cincinnati upset Niagara 95-86. The only high school regional score reported so far is from Richmond, the 11th region, where Dunbar in overtime beat Lafayette. Dunbar 16, Lafayette 12. Well, Notre Dame is back on the floor. We'll expect the Kentucky Wildcats to be back in just a few minutes. So it gives us just enough time to remind you that this is the time of year, the shank end of the season, when a team's coaches and fans have found out just which stars have the stamina and toughness to stay in there and take it on both offense and defense. Stamina is something you want too, and the motor oils you depend on to protect the motor of your car under all driving conditions, and it is because they have shown that they have the stamina that multi-purpose Mobile Oil Special and Uniflow motor oils are the largest selling premium motor oils in the area served by Standard Oil dealers. For motor oils you can depend on, not only to protect your motor, but to clean your motor as you drive, have your Standard Oil dealer drain your crankcase and refill with high detergent all-season Mobile Oil Special or Uniflow motor oil. You know, one thought just keeps running through our mind, and that is it was almost a year ago today that we were at halftime of this Mid-East final game, and Kentucky was leading Michigan State by 12 points. So let's see how the Wildcats react to a 12-point lead against Notre Dame at halftime as they come on the floor for the start of the second half. Incidentally, we can now pass along some of the information to you on the state tournament that starts here in the Coliseum Wednesday night. The first game Wednesday night will bring together the winner between St. X and Manuel tonight and Breckenridge County and Beaver Dam. And our second game Wednesday night will bring Dunbar against either Meade Memorial or Oil Springs. Thursday morning in the first game, South Hopkins, Todd County, the winner of that game, will play the winner of Clay County and Hall. And the second game on Thursday morning will find the winner between Hodgensville and Campbellsville, Durham, playing the winner between Lilly and Monticello. Our 2 o'clock game Thursday afternoon will find the Paris Western Cynthiana winner playing either Clark County or Olive Hill. At 3:45 Thursday afternoon, the winner between Bowling Green High Street and Cumberland County will play the winner of Shelbyville, Shepherdsville. Then on Thursday night at 7:30, either Covington Grant or Covington Catholic will be playing the Hazard Whitesburg winner. And the last game, starting at 9:15 Thursday night, will find the Benton North Marshall winner playing the Davis County Henderson Douglas winner. We should be, before very long now, picking up some regional scores from around the state for you. The only one to report so far is Dunbar 16, Lafayette 12, as the defending state champs were eliminated tonight over at Richmond in the 11th Regional Finals. Interestingly, in that game, the first quarter was played without a single shot being taken. Our understanding is that with about 3 seconds to go, Lafayette tried to take a shot, but the man was called for walking, which meant that there actually was no shot, and the score was 0-0 at the end of one quarter. It was tied 2-2 at the half. The score was 8-8 at the end of regulation time. Apparently they really opened up in that 3-minute overtime period. Here in Lexington, it is Kentucky 43, Notre Dame 31. As we limber up the two squads to go at it now for another 20 minutes. We've just been notified that Oscar Robinson of Cincinnati in that consolation game at Lawrence, Kansas tonight against Arkansas broke the NCAA scoring record for one game. Robinson tonight hit 56 points. Oscar Robinson, 56 points. That was in Cincinnati's 97-62 win over Arkansas. However, those kind of records, to our way of thinking, are always quite hollow, because those games are what Coach Branch McCracken of Indiana, you just heard him say it, well, they don't mean anything. The previous one-game record was held by Hal Lear of Temple, 48. Hal Lear, in scoring his record, 48 points, did it against SMU, not in consolation. No warning whistle has yet been sounded for the start of the second half, as the two teams do huddle up around their bench. Here's Notre Dame breaking huddle first. Ed Gleason will remain at a guard. Tom Reinhardt will remain at a pivot. Bob Devine, Tom Hawkins, Tom McCarthy round out the lineup. For Kentucky, Ed Beck is back at center. Vernon Hatton, Adrian Smith remain at the guards. Krigler and Cox stay at forward. Beck and Hawkins move in against each other. Signify they're ready to go, and so stand by for the second half. Beck taps twice, and Hatton gets it just in Kentucky's front court with Smith breaking for the basket. Hatton had a dangerous pass, and he didn't risk it. Now gives to Smith, takes a return out deep. Calls Smith to the left, he moves to the right against Gleason, gives to Cox. Here's the jump shot. Good. So Johnny Cox opens the second half with his fifth field goal, and Kentucky leads Notre Dame 45-31. Here's Gleason on Notre Dame back in front court. Bounce pass on the left side to McCarthy into the pivot to Hawkins. A jump shot over Beck is good. So Hawkins quickly matches Cox with his fifth field goal, and it squares off at 45-33. Vernon Hatton moving up into front court, moves to the right side. Picked up under the basket by McCarthy. He shoots no good, taken off by Notre Dame. McCarthy rebounding, giving it over to Ed Gleason. He flips to Devine, back to Gleason. A southpaw moving in front court against Adrian Smith. Flips Beck, cut it away from Hawkins, stealing for Kentucky. Gives it over to Vernon Hatton. Hatton lets Devine slide by and then moves into front court for Kentucky. Gives to Beck on the right side. Back to Smith, breaking to the baseline. Backing away, passing out to Cox. 20-foot jump shot. No good. Cox hit the floor as Reinhardt picked off the rebound for Notre Dame. Kentucky 45, Notre Dame 33. Each team with a field goal. Hawkins for Notre Dame. Cox for Kentucky. Here it is, whipped to Hawkins into the pivot. Turns and shoots. No good this time. Slapped by Reinhardt. No good. Cox rebounds for Kentucky. Quick one. Brownsville will clear himself. Gives over to Vernon Hatton. And moves up into front court. Down the right side to Krigler. Hawkins on him. He shoots. Good. John Krigler with his third field goal puts Kentucky in front 47-33. Gleason of Notre Dame back in front court. Wheels hard to the right. Drives all the way and lays it in. Tremendous drive by Ed Gleason for his first point of the tournament. And the score is 47-35 as each team picks up 2 field goals here in the first 2 minutes of the second half. Hatton in front court, a high pivot pass to Beck, back to Hatton to Smith. He moves to the left, knocked down, he gives to Cox, takes a return over to Hatton in the pivot to Beck. Fakes to Smith going by, moves to the left, gives to Cox, deep to Hatton. Hatton looks at Krigler on the right, waves him back in. Cox goes down to the baseline as the pass is over to Smith. Moving to the left, back to Hatton. Hatton fakes a shot, gives to Smith, whips to the pivot to Beck, back to Hatton. A 25-footer goes up, no good, short. Hawkins of Notre Dame rebounds. Flips it over to Devine, gives to Gleason. Ed Gleason, big 6', 190-pound guard in front court for the Irish. Gives on the pivot there to Reinhardt, spins to the left and shoots, no good. Outside rebound by Reinhardt, lays it up, no good again. Hawkins rebounds for Notre Dame, lays it up, no good. Tap by McCarthy, no good. Rebounding Krigler of Kentucky. Passing up to Adrian Smith, and Kentucky holds on to its 12-point lead. Hatton moving up into front court now. Watches Krigler move off the right side, shakes his head. Krigler comes back out, pass to Smith, over to Cox. One bounce dribble and back to Smith to the right. Back out deep to Hatton now, back to Smith on the right side. He moves a back block with Beck, gives back to Hatton. Out to Smith, moving to the left side. Has it taken away, but picked up by Hatton at the free throw line from 15 feet. Good. Vernon Hatton has 5 field goals. Kentucky leads 49-35. Cats back in front for the third time by 14 points this second half. Gleason of Notre Dame on the left side to McCarthy. Takes a return. Right back to McCarthy. Back to Gleason. Fakes an outside shot. Gives to McCarthy, who turns and shoots good off the free throw line for Notre Dame. So McCarthy with his 5th field goal gives each team 3 now after 3.5 minutes of the second half. Smith in front court to Krigler. Outside to Hatton. Moves slowly to the right. Against Devine. Pulls up free throw line deep on the right side. Hands to Cox, moving by him toward the right corner, pivoting, giving a bounce pass to Beck, fakes back to Cox, gives to Hatton, breaks by, and Reinhardt fouled him, grabbing for the ball. That is the 3rd foul on Reinhardt, the 1st foul of the second half. Vernon Hatton of Kentucky, who's hit 3 out of 4, will take 1 shot. 16 minutes, 11 seconds to play. Kentucky leads by 12 points as they did at halftime. Hatton's free throw good. That makes the score Kentucky 50, Notre Dame 37. Ed Gleason brings the Fighting Irish back into front court. Out deep with it, down the right side to McCarthy. A return to Gleason, looks at Reinhardt, gives over to McCarthy, breaks on Krigler to the baseline with a whistle and a foul called. Pushing foul against Krigler of Kentucky. That's the 1st foul on Krigler and the 1st foul on Kentucky. We have played 4 minutes and 1 second in this second half. John McCarthy of Notre Dame, who has not missed a free throw, has a chance to move the Irish back within 12 points. Here's the free throw. Good. So it's Kentucky 50, Notre Dame 38. Vernon Hatton very quickly back in front court. Stays deep with the ball, though. Moves to the right with a pass to Krigler, out to Smith. Moving to the right, now backing away, passing deep to Cox and taking a return pass. Gives over to the left to Hatton, still deep. Looks it back on the pivot, who goes out of the 3-second zone and gives to Smith. Back over to Hatton on the left side to Cox. Here's the jump shot. No good. Hawkins rebounds for Notre Dame. Kentucky does not have the spring and zip that they had in the first half. Notre Dame playing with more confidence now as the pass goes in there. A bad one through everybody and out of bounds to Kentucky. So Vernon Hatton gets the incoming pass, lays in backcourt just long enough to hear Coach Adolph Rupp say something to him. He moves up into front court now, lines Cox and Krigler both on the left side, gives to Beck. Smith breaks through, the pass is out to Krigler, hands to Hatton. Hatton moves to the left side, yelling set back up, balancing his court. Smith to the left side to Cox. Hatton goes through, back to Hatton, under the basket on McCarthy, he lays it in. Vernon Hatton's got his 6th field goal, setting that one up for a 52-38 lead. Gleason of Notre Dame in front court on the right side to McCarthy. Out to Gleason, back to McCarthy on the right side. Duffy waiting to get in for the Irish now as McCarthy breaks to the right corner, returns to Gleason. Looks at Reinhardt on the pivot and backs out deep. Gives back over to McCarthy, into Hawkins on the baseline against Beck. Here's a jump shot, no good. Bounces off the rim to the left to Reinhardt, knocked away. Hatton of Kentucky races out and gets it in ahead of Devine. 14 and a half minutes to play. Hatton back in front court to the top rim of the circle. Backs away now to set it up. Over to Smith, down the right to Beck, who pulls off the pivot, gives to Hatton going to the baseline. Against Gleason, can't shoot. Hands the ball to Devine. Tried to get a pass to Beck, and takes it right back away from Devine. Beautiful defensive play by Vernon Hatton. Over to Krigler, back to Hatton. They call a walking infraction against Krigler and give the ball back to Notre Dame. There are 14 minutes to go. Kentucky 52, Notre Dame 38. McCarthy on the right side, out to Gleason. Into the pivot to Hawkins, back to Gleason deep. Gleason moves in, shoots from 20 feet, no good. Off the rim to Hatton of Kentucky. Hatton slows it down, moving up the backcourt now, looks over his shoulder. Everything clear behind, so he moves on into the full head of steam in front court. Over to Smith, left side to Cox. Hatton gets it, moving left side. Here's from 20 feet, good. Vernon Hatton takes the field goal lead, and timeout, Notre Dame. Well, the fans here at the Coliseum, a capacity crowd of 12,000, roar their approval for a great ball game that sees the score, Kentucky 54, Notre Dame 38. And the clock reads 13 minutes, 32 seconds to go. Here in the second half, the teams have been fighting it out toe-to-toe. We opened with Johnny Cox hitting a jump shot. That was matched by Hawkins out of the pivot. Krigler hit from the right side, and Gleason driving's tied it for Notre Dame. Hatton from 15 feet had his matched by McCarthy. A free throw by Hatton was countered by McCarthy, but since then Hatton has hit 2 field goals to increase Kentucky's lead to 16 points. The longest lead was Kentucky's 18-point first half lead. Timeout number 3 for the Irish has just about expired. Vernon Hatton signals he's ready to go, so Bob Devine gives to Duffy, who has come in to replace Gleason. Duffy, the little 5'7" guard against Adrian Smith, left side to Devine, back to Duffy, whips to McCarthy, turn shot short of the rim. Rebounding is Reinhardt. Notre Dame gives to Hawkins, turns, falls away from Beck and misses. Tapped up by Reinhardt, no good. Cox knocks it down on the floor and gets it as he's fouled by Reinhardt of Notre Dame. That is 4 personal fouls against Reinhardt and 2 against Notre Dame the second half. 13 minutes, 12 seconds to play. Johnny Cox is on the free throw line for the first time in the game. Cox will shoot 1. We have played 6 minutes, 48 seconds with just 3 personals, 2 against Notre Dame, as Graney waits to come in for the Irish. Cox, a 2-hand shooter, shoots short. Beck taps it in. Ed Beck with his 4th field goal sends Kentucky in front by 18 points, 56-38 after 7 minutes. Duffy in front court, fakes right, comes left, gives to Devine from 20 feet to the left, no good. Tapped by McCarthy, by Reinhardt, and rebounded by Vernon Hatton. Gives it to Beck to renew his dribble and moves up the back court, waving Adrian Smith away from him. He calls Beck off to the right, playing a double pivot with Krigler, and gives to him, fakes to Smith going through, gives to Cox at the free throw line against Hawkins. Back out to Hatton, over to Smith, who comes outside. Whips a bounce pass down the right to Hatton, under the basket. Knocked away beautifully on a defensive play by Hawkins. Beautiful defensive play by Tom Hawkins, right under the basket on Hatton. Here's Duffy of Notre Dame feeding left side. Hatton knocks it down away from McCarthy, picked up by Cox of Kentucky. Flips over to Vernon Hatton, up to Adrian Smith. Notre Dame's Bob Devine started in backcourt to pick up. Smith moves on, gives in front court now to Hatton. Yells something to Beck, who moves off of the pivot to the right. Down the left side with a high pass to Cox. Hooks blindly behind him beautifully to Smith, who lays it up no good with a foul on the play. Foul against Notre Dame. Let's see who draws it. Foul is on Duffy of Notre Dame. The referee was yelling 5-2. He meant no number 5, 2 shots. Adrian Smith of Kentucky will shoot 2. First one's good to give Kentucky a 19-point lead after 8 minutes of the second half. Mike Graney replaces Reinhardt in the Notre Dame lineup. Second shot good. Kentucky 58, Notre Dame 38, as the Wildcats take their first 20-point lead. Duffy of Notre Dame over the center stripe. Down the left side to Devine, and the pivot to Hawkins, who charged into Beck. That's Hawkins' third personal foul. Tom Hawkins has committed 3. 2 of them have been just that personal foul, taking the pass and backing into Ed Beck. There are 11 minutes, 54 seconds to play, as Kentucky's Ed Beck, 0 for 1, stands at the free throw line. Beck stands in, spreads the feet out. He's a two-hand free throw shooter. Dips her down between the knees. Here's the shot, good. Kentucky goes on top, 21 points, 59-38. Little Gene Duffy of Notre Dame back in front court. Starts with a pass to the left side, then does whip to Devine, who breaks on Hatton to the baseline and shoots, good. 10 feet to the left, Bob Devine got his second field goal of the game. Kentucky 59, Notre Dame 40. Adrian Smith in front court to Vernon Hatton. He yells over to Smith, who moves to the left. Hatton comes to the right, gives to Krigler, out to Smith, left side to Cox. Whips to Krigler under the basket as he shoots. A beautiful defensive play by Mike Graney of Notre Dame. Knocks the ball over to Gene Duffy. The Irish have it back, trailing by 19 points. Up into front court, Duffy slanting to the left side, staying deep, gives to Devine. He wheels out, takes a 20-foot jump shot. It's no good. Taking it off Krigler of Kentucky. Krigler moves it up the backcourt himself, over the center stripe, giving to Hatton. Moves right side. Devine tried to get it. Hatton spun around twice and got it. Cox picked it up. Out deep, gives to Beck, out to Hatton as Kentucky sets it up now as we move into the last 11 minutes of the ball game. Over to Adrian Smith, down the left to Krigler. Whips. Oh, Hatton is tripped on the floor, and the ball went over his head. Vernon Hatton still sitting on the floor as the official moves out. Hatton apparently was tripped breaking for the basket. And as the pass was thrown to him, it was, of course, thrown over his head because Hatton hit that floor hard. It's an official's timeout with 10 minutes, 48 seconds to play. Kentucky 55, Notre Dame 40. 59-40. Hatton shaken up on the fall. Moves back up in the front court as Notre Dame has the ball at the baseline and back court. Now we're ready to go back to the play. Bob Devine gives to Duffy. Little guy alternating hands in the dribbles as he moves up in the front court against Adrian Smith. Breaks to the left, and a foul is called, charging on Duffy of Notre Dame. Duffy tried to drive down that left side and charged his third foul, and Notre Dame's third of the half as we march the length of the court. 10 seconds for station identification. This is the Standard Oil Sports Network.
WVLK, Lexington, Kentucky, 1 minute, 20 seconds before 10 o'clock.
Adrian Smith of Kentucky shoots and hits, and the score is 60-40. Kentucky leading Notre Dame by 20 points. Gene Duffy brings the Fighting Irish in the front court. Looks at the pivot, gives to Graney, who turns into Krigler, and Krigler knocked it down. McCarthy picks it up and shoots. Good for the Irish. For John McCarthy, his sixth field goal, and draws the Kentucky lead down to 18 points. Vernon Hatton back in front court for the Wildcats. Down the right to Krigler, who brings it out front, passes to Smith, fakes left side to Cox. McCarthy was in a dangerous defensive position. He gives it over to Krigler, who's picked up by Duffy. Over to Adrian Smith, who takes it back to the left. Gives a pass to Cox now on the double pivot to the left. Over to Hatton off a screen. Shot good. Vernon Hatton hits his 8th field goal. Kentucky goes back in front by 20 points as we move into the last 10 minutes of the game. Here's Duffy breaking. The ball knocked away, picked up by Duffy. Gives over to McCarthy, breaks to the right, picked up by Cox. Knocked the shot down and took it away from him. Here goes the Cats running, 3-on-2. Cox gives to Krigler, breaking to the right on Duffy. He pulls up and a foul goes against Notre Dame's Gene Duffy, blocking his 4th one. The clock stops with 9 minutes, 41 seconds to play. John Krigler is on the Kentucky free throw line. Back behind Krigler, some 10 feet, are Smith and Hatton talking over play situations. Krigler's ready to go now. He's a one-hand shooter. Got it. Kentucky for the second time is ahead by 21 points, 63-42. Gene Duffy in front court for Notre Dame. Slants to the left, stays deep, pulls up, whips to Graney at the free throw line, gives to McCarthy, juggles it, shoots short. Rebound, Tom Hawkins can't save. Hatton got it. Faked the fast break pass out of there. Didn't like his odds. Quickly pulled up, gave to Smith, now takes a return. Hatton moving up in front court. Brings Adrian Smith to his left. Sets out deep, gives a bounce pass to Beck. Smith goes through, pass to Cox. Here's the 20-footer. No good, rolled off. Graney slings himself like a dog coming out of water as he got that rebound, determined he wasn't going to lose it. 9 minutes to play. Kentucky 63, Notre Dame 42. Here's Duffy breaking. Krigler took the ball away from him, but a foul, though, is called against Adrian Smith. That is the second foul on Kentucky's Adrian Smith. And it incidentally is only the second foul on Kentucky this half. Duffy of the Irish on the free throw line for the first time, and he's scoreless. Free throw good by Duffy. Notre Dame, incidentally, has committed 6 personal fouls. The bonus rule is in effect against them. Here's Vernon Hatton back in front court with a 20-point lead at 63-43. Smith to Cox on the left side of a double pivot. Takes a hook shot. No good. Ed Beck rebounds, brings it outside, passing deep to Hatton. Hatton holds it behind his back, yelling something into the pivot as Cox comes out on the free throw line. Smith moves right. Hatton takes it left, staying deep with it. Passes back over to Smith, down the right on the bounce. In it goes to Hatton, taking the little man to the pivot. He got it. Vernon Hatton gets his 9th field goal. Kentucky 65, Notre Dame 43. And for the first time, Kentucky leads by 22 points. Here's Duffy driving to the right, can't get through. Passes to Hawkins from 20 feet. It's no good. Tapped in from the right side by John McCarthy. 7 field goals for McCarthy, who leads the Irish in that department. Kentucky's lead cut back to 20 points with 8 minutes to play. Smith to Hatton in front court. Fakes left side, then gives on the bounce to Cox. Smith goes through. Cox returns to Hatton to Krigler. From 20 feet, it's short. Off to the left. Beautiful rebound by Johnny Cox. The hook. No good. Krigler taps it in. Krigler has 2 field goals in each half. Kentucky, for the second time, leads by 22 points. Duffy of Notre Dame has it kicked right back in his face by Adrian Smith as he starts a low hopping pass in the pivot to Hawkins. Notre Dame gets it out for the intentional kicking. Krigler knocks one down for McCarthy, who recovers. Now Smith knocks one down and McCarthy recovers. Gets it over to Duffy, who breaks down the middle. A foul goes against Adrian Smith of Kentucky. 3rd foul on Smith, and also Kentucky's 3rd foul in the second half. 7 minutes and 22 seconds to play. Duffy of Notre Dame is on the line, shooting 1. He hasn't missed a free throw. He shoots no good this time. Hawkins taps no good. Cox rebounds for Kentucky. Fires it out to Hatton. Duffy went in to pick him up. Hatton dug in his toes and moved away. Comes up into front court. Bounce pass on the left to Cox. Shoots one to Adrian Smith and out of bounds. Knocked away by John McCarthy of Notre Dame. 7 minutes to play here at the Coliseum in Lexington. Championship game. Notre Dame, Kentucky. Score stands 67-45. Wildcats lead. Pass into Hatton deep to Smith. Down the right side of a double pivot to back to Hatton, who brings it back out front. Notre Dame now is making sure they keep Duffy out of that defensive pivot. That's what Kentucky's been doing with Hatton, taking the little guy in there. Hatton, a 6'3.5" guard. Duffy, only 5'7", is, of course, helpless. Here's a bounce pass into Beck. Smith goes through. Duffy's just not going back in that pivot anymore. Smith waving, Hatton rather, yelling to Smith to come on out and get her started. Graney playing in front of Beck then to cut one off, didn't get it. Smith held up, gives to Beck, takes it facing Graney, looks for his situation, finds Hatton open under the basket, and he lays it up, no good. McCarthy rebounds for Notre Dame. Duffy clears himself away from Hatton and gets the pass. Moves it up over the center stripe, top rim of the circle, breaks to the left. Hooks one up that's no good, bounced off of there, and McCarthy made a beautiful tap, then Hawkins knocked it in. Tom Hawkins gets his 6th field goal and 13th point of the game to move the Irish back within 20 points as we have 6 minutes to go. Hatton moves by Duffy coming into front court. Right side pass to Krigler, back deep to Hatton. Hatton gives to Beck in on the high pivot at the free throw line. Knocked down as he's fouled by Mike Graney. Graney of Notre Dame draws his 2nd personal, and Ed Beck, 1 for 2, goes to the free throw line. Bonus rule applies against the Fighting Irish. Clock shows 5 minutes 47 seconds to play. Ed Beck shoots one. He got it. And for the third time this season, Ed Beck is in double figures. Timeout, Kentucky. It is the second time out of the ball game for the Kentucky Wildcats. With a scoreboard showing 5 minutes 47 seconds to play, the Wildcats are in front by 21 points, 68-47. They had a 12-point lead at halftime. So far, the only regional score to report to you is this 11th regional here at Richmond. Dunbar 16, Lafayette 12, tied up 8-8 at the end of regulation time. It was a scoreless first quarter. It tied 2-2 at the half. In the NIT today, St. John's beat Utah 71-70. Fordham beat St. Francis 83-59. Xavier upset Niagara 95-86. Oscar Robinson hit 56 points tonight to set an NCAA tournament record as Cincinnati beat Arkansas 97-62. In the NCAA consolation, Maryland beat Manhattan 59-55. And of course, in our first game here tonight, Indiana 98, Miami 91. Ed Beck, as we go back to play now, is on the free throw line for a bonus shot. Kentucky has 9 field goals, Notre Dame 7 field goals this half. Kentucky 7 free throws and Notre Dame 2. Halftime score is Temple 32, Dartmouth 22. The winner of this game tonight plays Temple at Louisville Friday night. If Ed Beck hits this one, he did, and that's the second time this season Beck has scored 11 points. Kentucky leads for the third time by 22 points, 69-47. Here's Rainey missing. Hawkins taps. McCarthy taps. Graney taps. Hawkins taps twice and in. Hawkins finally knocked in his 7th field goal to narrow the Kentucky lead back to 20 points with 5.5 minutes to play. Temple 32, Dartmouth 22 at halftime. Here's Hatton giving to Beck in front court. Duffy stabbing and missing. Hatton has it out deep. Notre Dame's going to put the outside pressure on the Cats defensively now. Smith whips to Cox on the double pivot, takes a return pass going by against Hawkins, who fouled him. For Tom Hawkins of Notre Dame, that's personal foul number 4. Notre Dame has 2 men in the game, Duffy and Hawkins with 4 personals, and Reinhardt on the bench with 4. Adrian Smith is on the Kentucky free throw line for 1 shot. Bonus rule applies with 5 minutes 11 seconds to go. Smith shoots. Good. Adrian Smith, incidentally, is the only one that has been shut out this half on field goals. Smitty hadn't hit a 1. Second shot. Good. Tom Hawkins' head was up about rim high, jumping for that one had it bounced out. Kentucky 71, Notre Dame 49, and for the 4th time, the Wildcats lead by 22 as McCarthy unloads one from 15 feet. No good. Krigler rebounds. Flips over to Adrian Smith. Got Duffy on him. Duffy coming up on the blind side as he whips quickly to Hatton in front court. Here it is in the pivot to Beck now. Back to Hatton. 15-footer. Good. Vernon Hatton's 10th field goal, 23rd point to shoot the Cats on top 73-49. Their first lead of 24 points. Duffy whips to the pivot. Devine breaks, hooks left, shot in and out and back in. Bob Devine has scored his 3rd field goal of the game, averaging 12.9 coming into this game. Adrian Smith picked up in backcourt, but Duffy comes in on Devine now and whips right side to Krigler. Krigler gives to Beck, who's fouled immediately from the rear by Mike Graney, the center. Graney, Graney is his name. Kentucky substituted only 1 time in this game when Ed Beck drew his 3rd foul in the first half. Don Mills came in and picked up 3 points. Beck 3 for 4, shoots 1. The shot, short, no good. Cox taps, Krigler taps, and Notre Dame rebounds as Graney pulls it in, knocking Cox to the floor. Over to Duffy. Duffy in front court for Notre Dame, breaks left. Adrian Smith turns him and he flips a blind hook, no good. Tapped beautifully by Graney, but it rolled out, and Beck takes it off for Kentucky. Beck was pivoting then, covering about a 10-foot circle. Adrian Smith gets away into front court as Hatton shoots one over the center line to him. Devine moves in on him. Smitty pulls up, gives right side to Beck, way off the pivot, under the basket to Hatton. Goes in on Hawkins, hooks it back and in. The magnificent Vernon Hatton puts it 75-51 for the Cats, the 2nd time by 24 points. We're going to give you a score in a minute that's a real shocker. Here's Graney hooking and missing. A foul on Kentucky. A few short tempers snapped down there under the basket then. McCarthy and Beck, who exchange the blows, shake hands. Just not blows, we shouldn't say that, just pushing each other. Official's going to come to the table to tell us the personal foul. It's on Johnny Cox, second foul. Out at Kansas City tonight, listen to this score. Texas Southern 121, Georgetown, Kentucky 109. That's for third place. Texas Southern 121, Georgetown 109. On the free throw line now for 2 shots is 6'5" Mike Graney of Notre Dame. First shot good. Graney has another one coming. Man, those Tigers from Georgetown really put on a show this year, didn't they? Bumping the seeded folks off one after the other. Graney, who's not missed a free throw, shoots his last one. No good, short. Hit Cox in the shoulder, and he was able to recover quickly enough to get it. Spins around, still in backcourt with it. Hooks over the head of Devine to Hatton. Left side to Smith. Here's a 20-footer. Good. So Odie Smith gets his first field goal in the second half, and Kentucky leads 77-52. Wildcats' biggest lead at 25 points. Here's Duffy breaking right side. Threw the ball behind the back of McCarthy as Odie Smith knocked it away. Here at the Coliseum, we got 3 minutes to go. Pass over the head of Graney. He finally gets it and shoots over Hatton, in and out. Beck rebounds for Kentucky. McCarthy tried to knock him down. Beck held his footing. McCarthy seeing Beck had good position, tried to crowd him out of there and couldn't. Smith in front court, left side to Hatton, and the pivot to Cox. The hook! It's good. 6 field goals by Johnny Cox. Kentucky leads by 27 points. 79-52 as Coach Adolph Rupp is going to clean the bench. Krigler steals, throws to Hatton. He goes in on Bob Devine. He missed it, but he's fouled. Oh, Hatton walking, excuses. Adolph Rupp has got 5 substitutes waiting to come into this ball game with 2 minutes, 20 seconds to go. Duffy breaks to the left. There goes the hook. It's short. Cox rebounds for Kentucky. Brings it out of there with a whistle and a foul against Notre Dame. Listen to this for these Kentucky regulars coming out of the ball game. Ladies and gentlemen, we've seen some great ovations in Memorial Coliseum for some tremendous ball players that have appeared here. But this is the greatest ovation for a team that we have ever seen. These Wildcats got tough in Knoxville 2 weeks ago tonight, and they don't have a tender spot. Into the Notre Dame lineup, we pick up Bob Bratke, who hadn't been in the tournament this year, Earl Atkins, Phil Johnson, Abe Collinsworth, Bill Smith have come in the Kentucky lineup, and Bill Cassidy waits on the sidelines as Johnny Cox has to stay into the game to shoot this free throw. Now into the Notre Dame lineup is Jim Williams of Danville, Illinois. He appeared last night but didn't score. Bratke, B-R-A-D-T-K-E from Calumet City, Illinois. Lee Ayotte, A-Y-O-T-T-E from Alpena, Michigan in. Hawkins is out. Hawkins had a 25.5-point average. The Kentucky defense tonight held him to 15 points. Of course, for most boys, 15 points is a fine night, but for Hawkins, it's a mighty poor one. This guy's great, and he's got his hands completely hiding his face. Man, he's a great athlete. Johnny Cox of the Kentucky Wildcats shoots one. Bonus rule to go. 2:15 on the clock. Shot. Good. It teased Johnny a while, though, before they gave him his 13th point. He has the bonus shot coming, and if he hits it, he'll be out of the game. And listen to another ovation, will you? Two-hand shooter. Here she comes. has been all season long that even Adolph Rupp, the molder of these great teams, said this team didn't have it. But by golly, if a team ever just decided they were going to get it, this one did it. Here's a shot missed by Notre Dame. Taken by Johnson. Fed to Cassidy from 15 feet. It's no good. Tapped up by Johnson. No good. Atkins rebounds. Missed. Outside Phil Johnson rebounds. Flips to Bill Smith. Fakes a shot. Gives to Earl Atkins. 1:50 seconds to go. Kentucky leads 81-52. Cassidy in a double pivot is fouled. Who's going to draw it? Number 15 draws it, Mike Ireland. And let us tell you right now something about this boy. His father beat Coach Rupp this year because his dad is George Ireland, who coaches Loyola. Phil Johnson is out of the Kentucky lineup. And Harold Ross comes in from Hickman, Kentucky. Bill Cassidy on the Kentucky free throw line, who takes a great pride in this free throw shooting. Hits. But as the players say, just barely. Cassidy has a bonus try coming. 1:46 seconds to play. It's good. Kentucky leads Notre Dame 31 points. There'll be a lot of shocked expressions when this score is announced around the nation tonight. Notre Dame misses another shot, and Harold Ross fouls, trying to get the rebound. That's the first foul on Ross, and incidentally, it is only the fourth foul on Kentucky. Harold Ross is from Hickman, incidentally. Shooting for Notre Dame, Bob Bratke, one shot. It's good. Atkins gets the incoming pass. Notre Dame picking up. Atkins comes on into front court. Pivots, passes right side to Ross. Moves down, passes out to Atkins. Into pivot to Smith. Knocked away, picked up by Abe Collinsworth on the left side. He moves in, flips one to Bill Smith. He brings it out, gives to Cassidy. Moves down the left side, and a foul is called on a collision. Blocking is called on Bill Cassidy of Kentucky, his first foul. 1:18 seconds to go. Kentucky 83, Notre Dame 33. Well, it's, I think, safe to say Kentucky can hold a 30-point lead for 1:18 seconds, but far be it from us to in any way jinx them. Temple is leading Dartmouth 10 points at the half. That's the team that the winner of this game plays. The bonus free throw good by Bratke to make it 83-54, cutting the Kentucky lead to 29 points. Ross in backcourt brings four Irish with him. He's got two men wide open. Gives to Atkins now. They yell shoot. They want to see the set shot. Over to Ross, left side Collinsworth. Whips to Atkins, turns and shoots, no good. Taken off by Collinsworth. He goes under the basket, makes a fake and is fouled as he jumps to shoot with 57 seconds to go. Check us on that, a jump ball. Collinsworth of Kentucky standing 6'3", jumping against Ireland of Notre Dame, who's 6'7". Neither boy gets it on the first tap, then it's knocked over to Gleason. Gleason back in front court for Notre Dame, 50 seconds to go. He takes a 20-footer and it's no good. Glances off the rim. Ross knocks it away from Bratke out of bounds off his knee, and Kentucky takes it. Cassidy wide open. They didn't see him. Atkins gets it, whips left side to Collinsworth. 3-on-1 to Smith from 10 feet. No good. Cassidy rebounds, and he's immediately fouled by Bratke. Bratke's first foul. 36 seconds to play. Hopalong Cassidy has a chance to give Kentucky back the 30-point lead. They had it to 31. Cassidy can pick that up, too, since the bonus rule applies. Hoppe, as his teammates call him, is a southpaw. Shoots a one-handed free throw. No good. Bill Smith taps it back to Ross. 25-foot jump shot. No good. Tapped by Bill Smith, no good, who rebounds. Turns around and shoots. Good. That is the first point this season for Bill Smith. And Kentucky, for the second time, leads Notre Dame 31 points. 20 seconds to go as Gleason down the middle is fouled. A blocking foul against Collinsworth of Kentucky, his first one. According to our records, that's only 5 against the Wildcats. Nope, it's a bonus rule in effect. We've been a little bit too excited. On the free throw line is Ed Gleason. Shooting 2, foul in the act of shooting. 19 seconds to play. Gleason shoots, good. First one he's hit in 3 tries. Kentucky leads Notre Dame 30 points. Shot good. 85-56 the score. Collinsworth out of bounds gives to Ross. Notre Dame full court press and another foul on Notre Dame. This one goes against Lee Ayotte. Now 17 seconds to play. Harold Lloyd Ross goes to the free throw line. A football player here at Kentucky by the name of George Jessel Curry. At the same time, Harold Lloyd came here. Ross free throw, good. Ross gets a bonus shot as Kentucky takes another 30-point lead. Bonus shot, good. So for the third time, Kentucky has a 31-point lead. It's 87-56. Up in the front court, Gleason breaks to the left and walks with it, and Kentucky gets it. 10 seconds to go. Gleason finally gives it to Ross, who whips to Atkins. 6 seconds to go to Smith. Drives under, gives to Collinsworth. He lays it in. Collinsworth gets his first field goal. The ball game is over. And the final score is Kentucky 89, Notre Dame 56. Bernie Shively moves quickly to the center of the floor as Johnny Jordan, the coach of Notre Dame, moves off, gets a handshake, first of all from Vernon Hatton, then meets Adolph Rupp. Next February 14th, Kentucky and Notre Dame will play again at Chicago Stadium. If you were listening to us last night, you heard Johnny Jordan himself say that, and it had not previously been announced. Well, before the individual scoring, Standard Oil dealers offer you your choice of 3 fine gasolines: Crown regular grade, Crown Extra premium gasoline, and Standard Oil's new Super Crown Extra, the first gasoline available in this area designed to get top performance and mileage from higher compression motors, new or old. With 3 Standard Oil gasolines for you to choose from, you do not have to pay a penny for quality you cannot use. One of Standard Oil's 3 gasolines is best for your car. Only you can tell by use which. Try a full tank of Super Crown Extra. Then decide whether the improved performance and mileage is worth the small extra cost to you. Well, we're about ready to go with trophy presentations, so let's check the individual scoring. Tonight we saw another of those typical Hatton performances, as we tend to call them. Vernon Hatton taking charge the second half, as Notre Dame was able to get no closer to the Wildcats than 12 points. He finished up with 26 points. 26 points is his second 26-point game of the season. He did that against Duke in the very first game. On the free throw line, he hit 4 out of 5 and had 11 field goals. He had 11 points in the first half. Johnny Cox tonight picked up 14 points on 6 field goals, 2 out of 3 at the free throw line. Adrian Smith tonight on the free throw line hit 8 for 8. Smitty, the 6-foot guard, hit 8 for 8 and ended up with 16 points, 4 field goals and 8 free throws. Ed Beck tonight had one of his best nights. He got 11 points to equal his best previous night of the year against Tennessee. Second time this year Beck has hit 11 points, and the third time this year that Beck has been in double figures. 11 points for John Krigler, 4 field goals and 3 free throws, as all 5 starters had 11 points or better. Among the substitutes, the top scorer with 3 points, Don Mills, who picked them all up in the first half of play, and a fine relief job of Ed Beck after he drew his 3rd personal foul. We had 2 points for Bill Smith on a field goal, and incidentally, that is the first point this season scored by Bill Smith. Lincoln Collinsworth had 2 points on a field goal. Bill Cassidy 2 points as he hit 2 for 3 at the free throw line. Harold Ross hit 2 points on the free throw line. Earl Atkins in the ball game did not score. Phil Johnson got just a brief run at it, and he didn't score. Emory of Miami, which finished last in the tournament, losing 98-91 to Indiana tonight, moves out. Representative, and now Dick Schreider of Miami is going to move out. His team finished 4th in the 4-team tournament. Here's the scoring now for Notre Dame. The tremendous Tom Hawkins tonight was held to 15 points on great defensive play, 7 field goals and a free throw and 4 ties. Hawkins, incidentally, got only 6 points in the second half. 17 points for John McCarthy, who topped Notre Dame scoring. McCarthy had 7 field goals and 3 free throws. 7 points for Bob Devine on 3 field goals and a free throw. 4 points for Mike Graney, a field goal, 2 free throws, and 3 tries. 1 point for Gene Duffy as he hit 1 out of 2 on the free throw line in the second half. That was the scoring for the Notre Dame starters. Tom Reinhardt had 6 points on 3 field goals. Ed Gleason had 4 points, a field goal, and 2 out of 4 on the free throw line. And Bob Bratke had 2 points and a pair of free throws. Lee Ayotte, Mike Ireland, Jim Williams did not score. Well, the scoring tonight, based on the averages of the team, coming into the game, Adrian Smith averaging 12.5 points, scored 16. Vernon Hatton averaging 16.5, got 26. Ed Beck averaging 5.5, got 11, doubling it exactly. Johnny Cox averaging 14.3, got 14. Krigler averaging 14, got 11. So that shows you how the Kentucky scoring went. Here's Branch McCracken and Archie Dees of Indiana, which finished third. They're champs of the Big Ten and hold a 98-91 win over Miami tonight, as Kentucky has completely dominated this tournament, beating Miami 24 points last night and now beating Notre Dame 33 points tonight. This, of course, will be one of the worst defeats that the Irish have suffered all season long. Notre Dame had only 4 losses going into this game tonight. Marquette defeated them early in the season by 14 points. Michigan State beat them by 7 points. They lost to Louisville by 11 points, and they lost to Bradley by 11 points. And Kentucky tonight, in the Mid-East Regional Championship game, defeated Notre Dame 89-56, a resounding 33-point win. Well, the last time that Notre Dame appeared here in the Coliseum, we saw the Kentucky Wildcats again beat them by a very unexpected margin in 1951. It was 52 rather, is 71-56 at the stadium, but the last time here at the Coliseum, Kentucky beat Notre Dame 69-44. Well, the ball game started off tonight with Graney fouled by Vernon Hatton hitting a free throw. McCarthy coming back for a crib shot to put Notre Dame in front 3-0. Then Duffy fouling Adrian Smith. He got the free throw, and Cox hit from 30 feet to tie the game 3-3. Adrian Smith broke the tie with a 20-foot shot, and Kentucky set sail. Johnny Jordan explains why he was late in getting back, that he had taken his team to the dressing room. He saw Kentucky leaving the floor, and he took his club off. They're runners-up in this tournament to the Kentucky Wildcats. Of course, this has been a very crushing defeat to Johnny Jordan, who we had with us last night at halftime, and you heard his comments that this is the greatest Notre Dame team in 25 years, going back that far to the time when Johnny Jordan himself played on it. Bernie Shively telling him he's got a great team, and the fans here giving their approval. We don't mean to say that Notre Dame was 33 points bad tonight. It's some way between Notre Dame not running into this type of defensive club, because Kentucky certainly has been the defensive class of the entire tournament. But Notre Dame, we would guess, has not hit this type of defensive club that bottled up Hawkins so completely with only 15 points, 10.5 points under his average per game. Well, that is it, as we'll stand by here for a moment for the presentation to the Kentucky Wildcats, because there is going to be a great ovation for Kentucky. We don't normally stay on hand for trophy presentations because it is rather anticlimactic. But Johnny Jordan of Notre Dame being given the awards for his third-place team. Of course, Kentucky will not get any awards. Since they go on to Louisville, they get their awards there depending on how they do next week. Kentucky will play the winner of Temple and Manhattan Friday night. First game at Freedom Hall, Louisville. And Temple 32, Dartmouth 22 was the halftime score. And by golly, right at this moment, it sure looks like Kentucky and Temple will be playing Friday night in Louisville. You remember when they played here in December, it was one of those heart-throbbing 3 overtime games that saw Vernon Hatton tied up at the end of the first overtime with a 47-foot set shot. Here is the introduction of the Kentucky Wildcats. Listen to it. For the type of game they played, that was a pretty anemic welcome. But they really let off the steam when the starters came out of the ball game. Well, that is it. Led by Hatton's 26 points. It's being announced now, no trophy, because Kentucky gets that depending on how they do in Louisville. They're pretty determined, so watch out for them. They're going to bring the team out anyway to the center of the court. Vernon Hatton facing Kentucky with 26 points. Smith had 16. Cox had 14. Beck and Krigler each had 11. Among the starters that broke the ball game open. The entire 12-man squad with Coach Adolph Rupp, his assistant Harry Langston, and Billy Wireman move out with manager Jay Atkerson and trainer Rusty Payne as the winners of the Mid-East Regional Tournament. For 4 years, Adolph Rupp has been unable to get his team out of the regional. For the first time since 1951, Kentucky is out of the regional now and going after the big trophy. Kentucky did go after the big trophy in 48, 49, and 51, and they got it each time. The only collegiate team to take 3 championships. Kentucky tonight has won its 18th NCAA tournament game, which is a record. Well, we've covered the highlights pretty well, we think, for you on the Mid-East Championship game here between Kentucky and Notre Dame tonight. We'd like to thank our statistician, Bob Cox, and our engineer, Noel Robertson of Lexington radio station WVLK. And on Friday night of next week, March 21st, Standard Oil Company and Standard Oil dealers throughout Kentucky, Alabama, Florida, Georgia, and Mississippi will bring you Kentucky's first game in the NCAA semifinals at Freedom Hall in Louisville against either Temple or Dartmouth. Be sure to listen in. It looks like it might be Temple. They were leading Dartmouth 10 points at halftime. No further report. Say there's always hope as long as there are signs of life. Let signs and markings